Alright, we're going to go ahead and go over the cloth armor that was added into the game, so we're going to just slap a bunch of abilities on here really quick so we can explain how some of them work. Healing Focus, it isn't a stance, it's a buff duration. It increases your healing output by 20 to 30%, and it reduces the damage you deal from 50 to 30%, so it's sort of like how you would say Sponge Form is on Splint Mail, except this is, a healing output rather than a healing received, but then the damage debuff is considerably higher. So all in all, I wouldn't recommend Healing Focus, so we'll actually just go ahead and take that one off. And we'll put Shattered Link on here, and we'll show off the other two abilities really quick before we get into links. So Healing Aura, you'll notice, which was under Robe before, which is now under Cloth. Same basic principle, heals targets around you. You get healed for half of the amount though, and it still drains pretty much the same energy at all times. So good for stripping heal over time effects, but very expensive as a heal over time ability, and I probably would not recommend it. But you might be able to get away with it with some of the link abilities that I'll show here in a minute. Heal as one. This will heal allies around you. It will heal you for each character that you heal. So obviously if I go ahead and I hit it, it goes ahead and it heals me for the 150 because I healed 2 targets around me, and it also refunds the energy slightly based on the amount of targets that I heal. So yes, if you actually level this up, you can get a decent amount back. It only costs 280. So I mean, you rank it all the way up, you can go ahead and say, what is it? 7-ish. Yeah, if you're able to hit 7 targets with it, you'll refund the energy cost completely, so that's pretty handy. And the cast time's relatively low, especially if you compare it to Sacrifice Self, which that's pretty much going to actually make it so, yeah, Sacrifice Self heals for 30% to 50%, but this one pretty much will do the job faster, more efficiently, and then of course with the links I'm going to show you in a minute, it's pretty much going to put Splint Mail in a really bad position. So yeah, Healing Aura, well sorry, not Healing Aura, Heal is 1, it's like 3 times larger than Sacrifice Self. Yes, it's not a percent heal, but this is a very strong group heal, and you don't have to worry about others really running into it because of its low cast time. So that's pretty handy. So we're going to go ahead and go into all of the linking abilities, if I can get them all on the bar, which I think I can. Alrighty, so we have Empowering Link, Nurturing Link, Shattering Link, and Protective Link. All of these abilities can hit any number of targets at all given times, no fucks given, and yes, it is a laser light show. I'm hoping this will not affect people in terms of graphics. I mean, it is quite a few effects to be showing off at once, and as you can see, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. So let's go over each one. Empowering Link. This is probably going to be easily the strongest one next to Shattering Link, which, a 10% buff to your team. Obviously, because you have to link to each one of them. As long as they don't run off your screen, they won't lose this buff. And the damage reduction, which is the turtle shell, I think. The flat, no, that's not the flat. That is I believe that's Protective Link, actually. Yeah, that should be Protective Link. Is a percentage one, which I'll explain why that one's not as good as Shattering Link here in a minute. But the Healing Boost one from Nurturing Link will not stack with Revitalize, Healing Totem, and other such effects that actually buff healing increase. So this would actually be good on, say, a staff healer. And I guess it technically would be good in the sense of not having to worry about whether or not the target has Revitalized, since it'll always have that buff. So that's relatively strong. But of course, Revitalize will still have its aspect of self-healing and healing others on the fly, versus this one, which it's a constant, but it doesn't actually heal. So all it does is buff healing that they can receive. So you're going to have to make sure you choose wisely what you're actually getting there. So in terms of staff healing, good. Totem healing, maybe with the healing seed you can make it work, because obviously, you know, it's a constant thing versus, you know, hitting revitalize and then that. But revitalize with healing seed will probably heal for more on a single target. This will obviously buff your entire group's healing, so there is that benefit. So very strong. The empowering one, though, it does snare you by 50% to 30%, so it's not really that big of a deal. Because, I mean, you know, if you think about it, if you've used Juggernaut on Splint Mail, that's a stronger snare than this one. So it's not going to be as much of an issue. And plus, since you're buffing your whole team, chances are they're going to be protecting you. And since they're going to get a 10% to 30% damage increase, that means every 3 people you're roughly getting an extra person. So this is actually going to be very, 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 very powerful. It does not buff your damage, however, so if you are using Empowering Link thinking you're going to buff yourself, you don't get that. Because if you did, every 3 people you have, you get an extra person and then 0.2 of another, so 20% extra. So that'd be kind of silly, you know, having 5.2%, 5.2 people versus 4 people would just be ridiculous. So we're going to go ahead and go on to Shattering Link. This is a flat damage reduction. It's kind of weird. I don't understand if this one is an invalid tooltip or not, which I'll show you here in a second. I'm going to try and get it maximum range here. Alright, so 32, which we're going to... 32 versus 23. So it says a 10 damage reduction, which I mean, I already tested this before. It only actually reduces 9 damage for some reason at rank 1. I don't know if that's a tooltip error or there's some special mechanic on how it actually reduces that damage. Because as you can see, the Mux damage, you know, yeah, there's a little bit of a point there on minimum damage, but I'm at the maximum damage range, supposedly. So chances are the tooltip is either wrong or there's another mechanic there when it comes to resistances that I don't understand. But either way, if you're able to max this out all the way to 30, as you can see, you know, it already does 9 damage reduction. So even if it did that, let's say it was 27. So, you know, 32 versus 23, you know, that's a little ridiculous. It would probably knock my damage down to 5. So Shattering Link is probably going to be one of those abilities that will definitely be nerfed, or in my opinion should probably be removed if you consider actual resistances you can get in-game. Because you can easily break, you know, 30, 40, 50% resist if you actually want to stack it to all hell. But I would say probably 30 or 40% is more likely. So, Shattering Link definitely very, very broken. This will probably be one of those ones I would say in a group. This would be one you would max, and definitely Empowering Link. I don't know if I would consider Nurturing Link, since I might say, oh, well, fuck that, because the damage buff will be stronger than anything else in this little bar here other than Shattering Link. And then of course Protective Link, which I'm gonna go ahead and actually pull that off of it. I don't need to actually, but Protective Link, it sounds good, you know, link to multiple targets. Every time you or they take damage, it is reduced to a certain percentage of their total health. Now the thing is, this doesn't say if it hits over the cap or not, but so far, if you consider how much health that a target will have. So right now, you know, I have 1,145 HP. So 10% of my health, you know, is going to be pretty crappy. So it's going to be, you know, 11.45. So it doesn't really make much sense to me. Wait, no, sorry, 145. No, 114. See, I'm being special as hell. But 114 damage is how much damage would have to be dealt, supposedly, before it hits that damage cap. Chances are you're never going to get hit for, 114 other than at the early levels, say with Ravage, with Puncture. Pretty much most abilities. Staff has some burst abilities. Scythe does. Spear and Shield has a good burst. Bow has like maybe one or two abilities that might be able to hit that if you're debuffed. But this one just seems like it was thrown in as an idea, a concept, but depending on how this works, like it says the damage cap percentile goes from 10% to 0%. So there needs to be a little more explanation on how this actual buff works, because say if it does activate at 0%, does it reduce it to 0% damage? How that actually works. Right now I'm running Totem because I wanted to make sure I had enough skill points to be able to learn all of Cloth and to be able to run my main build. So right now I can't test that, but I will, provide more feedback as need be. But Protective Link currently seems like it's total garbage until you maybe level it up. Shattering Link will trump it overall though, unless Protective Link literally reduces damage down to say 0% or somehow, can get down low enough to where it always activates and always caps at that damage. So I don't see why they thought this was a good idea. Like, we already have a lot of resistance, we already have resistance buffers. I don't see why they also needed to apply a flat damage reduction, which is pretty much going to make it so you're not going to do any damage to anyone. Like, look at that. Normally that might hit me for like 9 or 8, 2. I don't know. Shattering Link is going to be one of those ones that definitely will need a nerf. These other ones are going to be debatable. Looking at 12 minutes so far, so I mean we're going pretty fast this time. I did record this before. I didn't feel like it was adequate for what we were doing. So we're gonna go ahead and pull up these next abilities, and if I have suppression, I'm gonna learn that real quick to show off one. Let me get this laser light show off my nuts. Because I did know there's a huge FPS drop when you actually have a bunch of links going. Like, it's not like significant, but I mean while I'm recording it's definitely noticeable. There we go, we do have suppression. So this will be one that we can actually show off what I'm probably going to complain about when we get to the 2 cleanse abilities. So let's go ahead and learn suppression. I swear I just saw someone. Maybe it's just shadowing or shading or whatever the hell you want to call it. We're going to go ahead and just throw that on there. We don't really need our toxic spray. I can always change it if somebody comes here. So, first one, communal timeout. Think of delayed teleport, but point blank, instant cast. Doesn't teleport you, and it mesmerizes yourself. So, congratulations on this one. This is easily the worst ability that was released on this armor type, and in fact is useless if it's not going to get a secondary effect. If it maybe healed you over time or replenished your energy or something like that, this would make sense. But in its current state, why in the fuck would you mesmerize yourself rather than just mesmerizing people around you so you can either escape? It doesn't make sense. Either it needs to heal you, do something with your energy, or not actually mesmerize you. Otherwise, this is a completely wasted skill slot. Like, I would definitely dub this worse than, say, I would probably say meditation, but at least meditation has a use. This just doesn't seem to have any use. Even with the split mails, I heal based on the damage that's done to me. Bullshit. Like, this is pretty much garbage in all aspects. Like, even Silencing Field is better than this, and that's painful. Which we're actually going to go on the next one. This is something that I went over on my other video, where Silencing Field, which is on Splint Mail, should have been an instant point-blank AoE silence which for some reason this says Mesmerize, so congratulations on that tooltip there. But, I mean, it's still a good ability, but it is a 5-second silence with a 10-second, well, sorry, it says it goes up to 10 seconds, so I mean, if it's a 10-second fucking silence, good game, you're pretty much fucked at this point if you are silenced for 10 seconds. And then a 10 to 20 second duration on a resistance buff that you get. So let me cast it real quick. It fills up half the determination bar. It is a very long silence. Like, it is a 5-second silence. The good news is, of course, it has a relatively long cooldown, but doesn't scale down with cooldown. The cast time is very low. The energy cost is very low. But this is stupidly strong, but it should have been under Split Mail. This is not something that should have been under Cloth. Like, if you consider the fact, Silencing Field, you can't attack during it. It builds up too much determination to matter on your enemies. And this is pretty much what should have been on Split Mail. But instead, we have it on Cloth. If you're going to run Cloth, always run this ability. Like, this is absolutely disgusting. You go ahead and you start a fight. Oh no, I'm taking a shitload of damage, and it's like, and that's 5-10 seconds of them not being able to do jack shit. Like, you don't even have to care anymore. Unless they have a Spear and Shield to dispel that silence, or they happen to have someone in the area that can also dispel silences and things like that, say from Reversal of Fortune, which I'll go ahead and show that right now, and then I'll show it again to show Cleansing Renewal. So, you know, you hit the Guarding Silence, and you can hit the next ability, Dispels the Silence, which is where we go into this. Reversal of Fortune removes stuns, sleeps, and silence effects from characters around you and heals them for every effect that is removed from them. So if they're stunned, slept, and silenced, which I find very unlikely, but if they were, you know, you heal them for 300 or, you know, 450. Chances are you're only going to heal them for the 100 to 150. But that's neither here nor there. It's a good ability for what it does. And since it only removes stun, sleep, and silence, it's not crazy overpowered. The next one is what I'm going to say is probably going to be the overpowered one, so I'm going to show this off in two ways. I'm going to hit my silence so I can show you the first aspect of it. So as you can see, Cleansing Reversal does not remove silence, which most likely means it does not remove stuns, and it does not remove Mesmerize. But that's not the problem here. The problem is when I do certain abilities such as this, which I'm going to throw them up. I already know it won't dispel Root, and we're going to throw this on too. And we're going to go ahead and hit this. Now you'll notice it dispelled the damage over time effect, the energy damage over time effect, and the damage reduction. I do not believe this removes slows, but I do not have a slow on here that I can test it with. Maybe if I don't think I have anything pinned. I could use pin down to show that one actually, and that would help me figure that one out. Let me do that real quick. No. Which apparently, you know, hits a target and roots it, so it doesn't remove root. And then we need an ability that slows, which I think Staff gets one. Which actually, let me go ahead and do that again with Shield Bash so I can show you and explain a little more. Yeah, so it'll remove those two debuffs. It won't remove the silence though, so that's pretty handy. There we go, pin down, battle, not pin down, snaring shot. Alright, so it won't remove snares either. So it won't remove roots, snares, silence, stun, etc, etc, etc. But it will, however, you know, remove damage debuffs, most likely healing reduction debuffs, which I don't think I have any currently slotted anywhere, because I wanted to make sure I had enough abilities to do that. But to make things very short and simple and to the point, the Cleansing Reversal, it will pretty much make it so you can run down with a team of players, and this is where the actual problem lies. You run down with a group. You all get a debuff if you have that star above your head, which I usually have anywhere from a double silver to a triple gold star, depending on what I'm running at that given point in time. Currently, obviously, since, you know, low level, etc., it's not going to give me the gold stars right away every single time, but it will give them to me probably here in the next level or two. Especially since I'm only wearing +3. If I wore +6, definitely, and I'm wearing a +0 armor, so yeah. But yeah, Cleansing Reversal, it's going to allow a group to run down, be able to dispel the debuff on all of their allies, not the robe users. So if you ran down with a robe and a spear and shield and then everyone else, the spear and shield can cleanse the robe user, the cloth user, and the cloth user can dispel the debuff on everyone else. So that pretty much goes over every single ability on the new cloth armor. And obviously I'm going to put a video up for cloth armor itself to explain the other stats and whatnot and give a little bit of feedback there. But yeah, all in all, it's definitely going to cause a lot of balance issues, I feel, but I'm going to go over that in another video.